Your Honor, Meri Brown began, her voice steady but cold. Before I testify, you need to understand something. What I'm about to reveal won't just destroy Cody Brown's reputation, it could put both him and Robyn behind bars. And I have the receipts to prove it. The words struck the room like lightning. Cody stiffened. His eyes widened. Robyn's hand slipped off the table. Meri stepped forward, carrying a thick black binder marked confidential. The room fell completely silent. Judge Harmon raised her gavel and struck once. The crack echoed through the crowded courtroom. Court is now in session, she declared, her voice sharp as steel slicing through air thick with tension. Every seat was filled. Journalists, former fans, local officials, estranged relatives. Everyone had come to witness what had only been whispered about for years. At the defendant's table, Cody Brown, once the charming face of polygamous liberty and TLC fame, sat pale and rigid. Beside him, Robyn dabbed at her trembling lips, her flawless makeup doing nothing to hide the fear underneath. Cody didn't move, didn't blink. He just stared across the aisle at the woman who had once been his rock. But Meri Brown wasn't anyone's rock anymore. She was the storm, dressed in an immaculate navy blue suit, chin lifted, eyes blazing. She looked every bit the woman who had nothing left to lose. Judge Harmon adjusted her glasses. Miss Brown, please place your right hand on the Bible. Meri complied. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do, she said firmly. Then proceed. Meri stepped forward, binder in hand. She turned briefly toward the gallery before speaking again. For 10 years I stayed silent, she said, her voice cutting through the stillness. But silence only protects the guilty. And the two people sitting before you, Cody and Robyn, have lied to this court, to this family, and to all of America. She opened the binder. The lies stopped today. The first page glimmered under the overhead lights. This isn't about jealousy or a broken marriage, she continued. This is about stolen money, forged identities, and crimes committed in my name. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Cody folded his arms tightly, jaw locked. Robyn gripped his sleeve, whispering frantically, but it was already too late. Meri flipped to the first tab. Your Honor, Exhibit A, she said. Documented proof that Cody Brown used my personal information, including my social security number, to purchase a $730,000 property in Sedona, Arizona. She passed the pages to the court clerk, who carried them to the judge. Meri turned to the projection screen as her attorney pressed a button. A deed appeared, magnified for everyone to see. Property owner Meri Caroline Brown, filed by West Coyote Holdings, LLC, signed by Cody Wynn Brown. The courtroom froze. I never signed this, Meri said, pointing to the forged signature. I didn't even know this property existed until 6 months ago. And I certainly didn't approve any withdrawal from our family account for its down payment. Judge Harmon leaned forward. Are you accusing Mr. Brown of identity theft? Meri didn't blink. Yes, Your Honor, and that's only the beginning. Her lawyer stepped up. Proceed to Exhibit B, he announced. The screen changed again. A sequence of bank statements appeared, detailing regular TLC deposits from Brown Family Entertainment into an account controlled solely by Robyn Brown. Meri faced the court. These payments were meant for the family. Instead, they were funneled into Robyn's personal investment fund. The crowd erupted in murmurs. Cameras clicked. Judge Harmon banged the gavel. Order! But the truth was already out. And it was just the start of Meri Brown's reckoning. Robyn's eyes darted to the screen as the numbers flashed. Transfers, withdrawals, and dates stacked like dominoes of deceit. Meri's voice never wavered. These are TLC payments, Your Honor. Family earnings redirected without our knowledge into Robyn Brown's private account. Each deposit made by the network was followed within hours by a same-day transfer. Destination, R. Brown, Personal Investment Fund. A ripple of disbelief swept through the gallery. Reporters scribbled, cameras snapped. Cody clenched his fists until his knuckles whitened. Judge Harmon leaned forward, her tone sharp. Mrs. Brown, she addressed Robyn, do you deny the existence of this account? Robyn's voice came out small, brittle. It must be a mistake. Meri's lips curved into something between a smirk and a sigh. A mistake that happens every 2 weeks, with identical transfers? Silence. The judge nodded slowly, eyes narrowing. Proceed, Miss Brown. Meri flipped another page in the binder, thick tabs labeled CDE. Her next move wasn't just evidence. It was demolition. Your Honor, Meri said, holding up a small brown leather journal. This is Robyn Brown's personal diary. It was recovered from her old home in Las Vegas. The courtroom buzzed. Even Cody's lawyer stiffened. Meri opened the book to a marked page and read aloud, her voice steady but shaking with disgust. Meri still thinks the missing money is just a transfer issue. I told Cody to distract her. If we keep her guilt alive, she won't ask questions. The Sedona house is almost done. Cody signed her name. It looks neater that way. No one ever verifies. Robyn's jaw fell open. Cody's head dropped into his hands. The crowd erupted. Reporters shot to their feet. Judge Harmon slammed her gavel. Order! Meri didn't flinch. She raised another document. This, she said, is proof of $120,000 stolen from the Brown Family Children's Trust, a fund meant for our kids' futures, used to buy jewelry, handbags, and a boutique lease. I have the receipts, and so does this court. Her lawyer brought up the next slide. Transaction records, invoices, wire transfers, boutique contracts, all under Robyn Brown Enterprises. Meri turned to face Cody directly. What about the children, Cody? What about Gabe? Garrison, truly? What about the promises you made? Cody said nothing. His silence said everything. Judge Harmon's voice cut through the tension. Is it your position that this trust was intentionally depleted by Mr. and Mrs. Brown? Meri nodded. It's not an accusation, Your Honor. It's a recorded fact. The judge exhaled sharply, visibly shaken. Proceed. The threat. Exhibit D. Meri flipped to the final section of her binder, a series of printed emails between Robyn Brown and an attorney. We need Meri to sign off on the refinance documents. Tell her it's for the kids' college fund. She's emotional now. She'll believe it. If she refuses, we push her out quietly, like we did with Christine. Meri's voice trembled only once. You forged my name. You stole my credit. You robbed our children. And now I will make sure every lie is exposed, under oath, on record, and on every television screen in America. A hush followed, heavy, electric. Cody sat motionless, pale as paper. Robyn's mascara ran in dark rivers down her cheeks. Judge Harmon finally broke the silence. Miss Brown, your testimony will be suspended for cross-examination later. You may step down. Meri closed the binder with a decisive thud. Thank you, Your Honor. As she returned to her seat, the tension in the room buzzed like a live wire. Then, the double doors creaked open. Every head turned. Every whisper stopped. Walking down the aisle in a tan coat and calm fury was Christine Brown, the unexpected witness. The judge raised an eyebrow. Miss Brown, you are not on the witness list. Christine didn't flinch. I know, Your Honor. I'm here voluntarily to give a statement. Cody's posture snapped upright. Robyn's lips parted in a silent gasp. Meri's eyes widened. She hadn't seen this coming. But Christine's expression said everything. It's time. Judge Harmon nodded. If you wish to testify, you will do so under oath. Christine stepped to the stand. I swear, she said, placing her hand on the Bible, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. She didn't bring a binder. She didn't need one. My truth, she began, voice calm and unshakable, has lived inside me for years. I stayed quiet out of loyalty, out of fear. Because when you live in Cody's world, silence is survival. A ripple of recognition moved through the gallery. But after what Meri revealed today, she continued, I can't stay silent any longer. Cody falsified documents. Robyn spun lies. And I have the recordings to prove it. Gasps rang out as Christine held up a small USB drive. She handed it to the bailiff. These files contain voice messages and recordings from our time in Flagstaff. Cody and Robyn plotting, manipulating, gaslighting. They thought I deleted them. The projector flickered to life. Cody's voice filled the room, cold and unmistakable. Just get Meri to sign. Tell her it's a standard form. She's too emotional to notice. Then Robyn's voice followed. If she gets suspicious, blame it on Christine. Say it was her idea. Cody's head fell into his hands. Christine stood taller. They not only betrayed Meri, she said, they scapegoated me. Whenever something went wrong, they turned the cameras on me, or Janelle, and smiled for TLC like nothing ever happened. The judge looked up, her voice measured. You're saying this deception extended beyond finances, into manipulation and coercion? Yes, Your Honor, it was systemic. And then Christine dropped her final bombshell. On camera and preach about honor and faith. He told the world he was protecting us, but what he protected was his image. What he destroyed was our belief in him. I don't want revenge. I want the truth recorded forever. That my father's love had conditions, and none of them were real. Garrison paused, the courtroom heavy with quiet grief. He unfolded the next letter, Gabriel's. Dear Your Honor, my dad told me being a Brown meant loyalty, but loyalty to him meant silence. When Mom questioned where the money went, he yelled until she cried. When I asked about my fund, he told me to be a man and work like he did. I did, I saved. I worked 2 jobs. But I also looked at the tax records, the ones that said my college account was closed per guardian request. That guardian was him. My father once said on TV that he'd die for his kids. He wouldn't. He'd just spend their future instead. A quiet murmur rippled through the audience. Reporters were already scribbling. Cody's jaw twitched, his lawyer placing a firm hand on his arm to stop him from reacting. Finally, Garrison opened Hunter's letter. Dear Judge Harmon, I'm not a child anymore, but I'm still someone's son. And I'm standing here to say that my father didn't just break laws, he broke people. He told us to keep the family's image clean. He told us loyalty mattered more than truth. But loyalty without honesty is just control. He made me feel ashamed for questioning him. He told me education was a privilege, not a right. But he made sure his favorites got everything they wanted while the rest of us learned to live off the scraps of a name he'd already sold. You can't rebuild what he's destroyed, but you can make sure no one else gets hurt pretending he's still a father. Garrison folded the papers and looked at the judge. That's all of them, Your Honor, he said quietly. But there's one more thing. He reached into his bag and produced a small flash drive. These are recordings between my dad and Robyn from 2021. I found them on an old family laptop. They're discussing the transfers from the trust fund. He said, and I quote, "If the kids find out, we'll just blame Janelle. She's too nice to fight back." Gasps. Cody dropped his head into his hands. Robyn covered her face, whispering something inaudible. Judge Harmon motioned for the bailiff to collect the drive. Mr. Brown, she said to Garrison, her tone softer now. This was incredibly brave. Your statement and those of your siblings will be entered into record under sealed protection. You've done what most adults couldn't. Garrison nodded, stepped down, and walked past his father without a glance. Cody looked up once, eyes red, mouth tight, but Garrison didn't stop. Meri squeezed Janelle's hand. Christine wiped her eyes. Even the court reporter paused for a moment before resuming her frantic typing. Judge Harmon straightened in her seat. This court, she declared, has heard enough to proceed to full criminal review. The family trust is to be frozen immediately. All accounts tied to Brown Holdings, RJ Wellness, and associated entities are to be subpoenaed. The state of Arizona will file formal criminal charges within 72 hours. Cameras flashed. Cody stared blankly, realizing at last the empire he'd built, on lies, guilt, and manipulation, was burning down around him. Meri turned to Christine and Janelle. It's over, she whispered. Christine shook her head softly. No, she said, it's finally beginning, as the truth. And as Cody was let out in chains, his name shouted by reporters and echoed in hashtags across every platform, the story of the Browns was no longer a TLC fantasy. It was a cautionary tale. And this time, the cameras weren't scripted, they were evidence. The aftermath exterior, Arizona State Courthouse, 3:45 p.m. The courthouse steps were chaos. Reporters shouted questions, microphones collided, camera shutters flicked like lightning. The air was a storm of sound and disbelief. The Brown family name, once sold as unity, faith, and unconventional love, was now trending under one word: fraud. Headlines were already rolling. Cody Brown arrested on federal charges. Robyn Brown faces indictment for fraud and forgery. Meri and Christine break silence. It was never about love, it was control. The once glossy reality empire had turned into a public indictment. Press conference. Outside courthouse, Meri, Christine, and Janelle stood side by side at the podium, the late afternoon sun spilling over their shoulders. They looked tired but unbroken. A sea of microphones pointed toward them. Meri spoke first, her voice strong but edged with emotion. For over a decade, we were told to smile, to forgive, to keep the image alive. We were taught that loyalty meant silence. But today, silence ended. She paused, exhaled deeply, and continued. We came forward not to destroy a man, but to protect a truth. Our family's pain was sold as entertainment, our trauma edited for ratings. But this isn't a show anymore. This is our lives, our children, our justice. Applause broke through the reporters. Rare, genuine. Christine stepped up next, calm and steady. We believed in something that turned into control. But when control is disguised as love, it's abuse. Cody and Robyn made choices that hurt everyone around them. And now, the world can finally see what we've lived. Her voice wavered only once, when she mentioned her children. They were told their mothers were dramatic, disloyal, bitter, but our only crime was telling the truth. Janelle placed a hand on Christine's back before speaking. We don't hate Cody, we pity him. Because the love he preached, he never practiced. But our kids, and their kids, will grow up knowing that lies don't win forever. The flashes of cameras intensified. Then Meri stepped forward again. Reporters shouted, "Meri, do you have a statement for Cody and Robyn?" She looked straight into the cameras, her tone sharpened like glass. "Cody, Robyn, I forgive you. But I'll never forget what you did. You tried to rewrite our history, steal our names, and weaponize our faith. But you forgot one thing. Truth doesn't need editing." Gasps rippled through the crowd. It was a line destined for every headline, every tweet, every documentary trailer to come. Inside the detention center, meanwhile, under fluorescent lights, Robyn Brown sat across from her attorney, mascara streaked, hands shaking. The deal on the table was brutal but clear. 15 years suspended sentence, full financial restitution, cooperation with federal investigators, public admission of guilt. Robyn whispered, barely audible, "I'll take it." Her attorney nodded. "You'll have to testify against Cody." Robyn closed her eyes. A single tear slid down her cheek. "He already betrayed me," she said softly. "This is me finally betraying him back." Media explosion within 48 hours, every network, CNN, TMZ, E! News, even BBC, was covering the scandal. Clips from sister wives were replayed everywhere, juxtaposed with court footage and Meri's press statement. Analysts called it the most shocking reality TV collapse since 2020. Talk shows debated it. Podcasts dissected it. YouTube channels that once adored the Browns now chronicled their downfall with titles like The Lie Behind the Love, The Brown Empire Exposed, Meri's Revenge or Justice Served, Robyn's Final Confession, The Truth Cody Tried to Bury. Every clip, every word, every tear became evidence in the court of public opinion. Meri's final statement, ABC exclusive. A week later, Meri sat across from journalist Rebecca Hall for an exclusive primetime interview. The studio lights were soft, the tone reverent. Meri wore black, simple, elegant, symbolic. Rebecca began, "Meri, after everything, what do you feel now?" Meri paused for a long moment. Then she smiled faintly, almost sadly. "Freedom," she said. "Real freedom. Not the kind you post online or film for TV, the kind that comes when you stop pretending you're okay." Rebecca leaned forward. "Do you think Cody will ever change?" "No," Meri said simply. "Because change requires humility. And he still thinks he's the victim." "Do you hate him?" Meri shook her head. "Hate is heavy. I carried enough of that. I just want peace, like for me, for the kids, for everyone he hurt. I don't need an apology. The truth was enough." Epilogue. 6 months later. A title card faded across the screen of a breaking documentary trailer. The Brown Reckoning, the true story behind the fall of sister wives. Clips rolled, courtroom footage, tearful interviews, flashbacks to the old TLC episodes. Christine's voice narrated softly, "We were never sister wives, we were survivors." Cut to Meri standing at a podium at a women's empowerment conference. The moment you stop defending your abuser, that's when healing begins. Applause erupted. The final shot, a quiet Arizona sunrise over an empty cul-de-sac. The old Brown family homes lined up like ghosts of a past they finally left behind. Fade out. Text on screen. Cody Brown remains under federal investigation. Robyn Brown entered a plea deal and testified in 2 ongoing cases. The Brown Family Trust has been dissolved. Meri, Christine, and Janelle have formed a nonprofit for women rebuilding after financial abuse. And beneath it, the closing words, "Not all families are built on love. Some are rebuilt on truth. Not all families are built on love. Some are rebuilt on truth." The screen faded to black, and in white letters appeared, "Based on true court transcripts and verified federal records." Then, one by one, the credits rolled. Meri Brown, executive producer, Christine Brown, co-writer, Janelle Brown, consultant. The soundtrack was soft, piano-driven, not sorrowful, but resolute. When the documentary ended, the world reacted in waves. News headlines lit up every feed. Sister Wives' final chapter breaks viewership records. Meri Brown's story reshapes reality TV. From victim to victor, the Brown women rewrite their legacy. TLC's redemption arc, Truth Over Tabloid. Talk shows dissected every scene. Late-night hosts, usually mocking, spoke in awe. Advocacy groups reached out to the women. Meri, once a reality TV fixture for Heartbreak, became a symbol of resilience, a woman who turned exploitation into empowerment. In an emotional post-trial interview, she said only this: "For years, they told our story for us. Now we told it ourselves. And I think that's what freedom really is." Robyn never appeared again. Her plea deal kept her out of prison but left her isolated. Rumors circulated of a quiet move overseas, though no confirmation ever came. Cody remained in federal custody, transferred to a low-security facility in Arizona. He was eligible for release in 2045. By then, his empire long forgotten. But Meri, Christine, and Janelle weren't done. A year after Brown Unscripted aired, they launched the Brown Foundation for Financial Freedom, a nonprofit aimed at helping women recover from financial abuse and coercive control. Their first public seminar sold out in hours. The proceeds went toward shelters and scholarships for survivors. And then, on a quiet summer morning, Christine posted a photo. Her, Meri, and Janelle, barefoot in a field, no makeup, no filters, just sunlight and open sky. The caption read, "We don't share a husband anymore. We share healing." That post became the most liked image in TLC's history. As years passed, Brown Unscripted remained a defining piece of television, studied in journalism schools, praised by legal watchdogs, and remembered as the moment reality TV collided with real justice. The story that began with plural marriage ended not with division, but with liberation. Because when the gavel fell, it didn't just end a case, it ended a culture of silence. And the last words of the documentary echoed long after the credits faded. Truth doesn't destroy families, lies do. And when the truth finally speaks, it heals everything it touches. Final epilogue, 5 years later, Arizona desert, dawn. The sun rose over the red cliffs, warm light spilling across the empty stretch of road leading to the old Brown family cul-de-sac. The houses were silent, no laughter, no cameras, no children running between driveways, just the sound of wind and memory. A moving truck was parked outside one of the last remaining homes. The for sale sign was gone. The last piece of the Brown empire was finally sold. Cut to Utah, spring morning. A new house stood in the hills, small but full of life. A wooden sign above the porch read, "Truth and Tea Cafe, founded by Meri Brown, 2028. Inside, the walls were lined with handwritten quotes from survivors who'd rebuilt their lives. The cafe doubled as a workshop space for the Brown Foundation. Every cup sold helped fund recovery grants for women leaving coercive relationships. Meri, now 58, served coffee behind the counter, laughing softly with a group of young women. Her face was peaceful, lighter, wiser, untouched by the bitterness that once shadowed her smile. "You can lose everything," she told them, "and still find yourself." A young reporter asked once if she ever missed Cody. She smiled faintly and said, "I miss the person I thought he was. But I don't mourn who he really turned out to be." Cut to Flagstaff, Arizona. Christine ran a counseling retreat for families recovering from spiritual abuse. Laughter and campfires replaced the old family meetings that once ended in silence. Her daughters worked alongside her, mentoring young women. She looked stronger now, not defiant, but healed. "You can't rewrite the past," she said during one session, "but you can stop repeating it." Cut to Wyoming. Janelle had moved to a quiet ranch near the mountains. Her life was simple: horses, open air, and family visits. She wrote a book titled Leaving the Table: How I Reclaimed My Life from Control. It became a bestseller. In the last chapter, she wrote, "We thought we were building faith. But faith isn't built on obedience, it's built on choice." Cut to Federal Correctional Institution, Safford. AZ Cody Brown sat alone in the visitation room, his once famous hair now short and gray. A faded Bible sat unopened on the table. He occasionally received letters from fans, mostly older ones still clinging to the show's illusion. He never wrote back. When asked in a prison interview if he regretted what he'd done, he stared at the floor for a long time. "I regret losing control," he said finally. "Not the life I built, just how it ended." The interviewer pressed, "Do you think you deserved what happened?" Cody's voice cracked slightly. I think Everyone eventually gets the truth they run from. Cut to Los Angeles documentary studio. A film editor finalized the closing credits of Brown Unscripted 5 years later. Clips of Meri's cafe, Christine's retreat, and Janelle's ranch played over soft piano music. Then, a final shot of the three women together on a hilltop, overlooking the desert where it all began. They didn't speak, they just stood, hand in hand, watching the sunrise. A single title faded onto the screen. In the end, it wasn't the family that broke, it was the illusion. Then the final note appeared, dedicated to every woman who was told to stay quiet and chose to speak instead. The screen faded to black. Silence. Then applause from an audience watching the premiere filled the dark theater. Soft at first, then rising into a standing ovation. Meri wiped a tear, smiled, and whispered to Christine and Janelle, "We made it." Christine replied quietly, "No, we survived it." And as the applause continued, the lights of the theater dimmed, and the Brown story, once chaos and controversy, finally found peace. The Brown Reckoning, full story summary. For years, Cody Brown and his wives ruled reality TV through Sister Wives, a story sold as faith, unity, and unconventional love. But behind the cameras, that love story was built on control, manipulation, and financial deceit. Phase 1. The illusion Cody and his 4 wives, Meri, Christine, Janelle, and Robyn, presented the image of a spiritual family. But slowly, cracks began to show. Money went missing. Robyn gained control of the family trust. And Cody, once the symbol of leadership, became obsessed with fame and control. Meri was the first to question things. Her name was quietly removed from key property deeds, and she was told it was for legal safety. But it wasn't. It was for power. Phase 2, the exposure. When financial inconsistencies surfaced, Christine secretly contacted an investigator. What they found changed everything. Hidden bank accounts, fake signatures, tax fraud, and shell companies tied to Cody and Robyn. The women, once bound by loyalty, finally united by truth. They went to court. The trial exploded on live television. Cody sat silent. Robyn broke down, and Meri delivered the line that shook the courtroom. "You stole my name, my trust, and called it love. But love doesn't hide money." The judge ruled in their favor. Cody and Robyn were charged with federal fraud and conspiracy. Phase 3, the fallout. Outside the courthouse, chaos erupted. Press, fans, cameras. Meri, Christine, and Janelle gave a public statement that went viral overnight. "We're not destroying a man. We're saving the truth." Robyn later took a plea deal, agreeing to testify against Cody in exchange for reduced sentencing. Her last words before signing the deal were heartbreaking. "He already betrayed me. This time, I'm just telling the truth." Phase 4, the world reacts. The media exploded. Headlines everywhere read, "Cody Brown arrested," "Robyn Brown's confession lies behind the cameras," "Meri and Christine break the silence." Clips from Sister Wives played side by side with courtroom footage, the perfect symbol of how illusion met reality. The Brown name was no longer entertainment. It was evidence. Phase 5, the reckoning. 6 months later, a major documentary aired, Brown Unscripted, the true story behind Sister Wives. Produced by Meri and Christine, it told the story in their own words, unfiltered, raw, and real. It became the highest-rated docuseries of the year, winning awards and redefining reality television. In one of the final scenes, Meri said, "For years they told our story for us. Now we told it ourselves." That's what freedom is. Phase 6, the aftermath. 5 years later. The empire was gone, but the women rose stronger than ever. Meri opened Truth and Tea Cafe and founded the Brown Foundation, helping women recover from financial abuse. "You can lose everything," she said, "and still find yourself." Christine ran retreats for survivors of religious and emotional manipulation. "We can't rewrite the past, but we can stop repeating it." Janelle lived peacefully on her ranch, writing a best-selling memoir about reclaiming independence. Faith isn't obedience. It's choice. Meanwhile, Cody sat in a low-security federal prison. His fame was gone. When asked if he regretted it, he whispered, "Everyone eventually gets the truth they run from." Final scene. A documentary crew filmed the 3 women standing hand-in-hand on a hilltop as the Arizona sun rose behind them. No dialogue, just silence and the unhealing. On the screen appeared In the end, it wasn't the family that broke, it was the illusion. And the dedication that closed the saga. To every woman told to stay silent, may you find your voice and your truth. Final message. The Brown story didn't end in scandal. It ended in freedom. It became more than a TV headline. It became a statement. Truth doesn't destroy families. Lies do. And when truth finally speaks, it heals everything it touches. Everything it touches.